Hey guys, welcome to the live. Hey Robin, hi Jean, hi Larry, hey Dan, hi Jen. Oh, I was gonna introduce Pippin. Pippin wanted to come on the live, maybe later. Pippin is our outdoor cat, so he's got half a tail because one day he got his tail caught in a door and his tail came off. So so anyway, so he's gonna eat the rest of the dog food while we talk. Hey Lisa. Hey Tom. Hey Nobi. Hi Nancy. Hey guys. All right. So it's a beautiful day. Time for our live. So I'm just looking at some of the questions. So yeah, so the energy has been a little bit dense. So so when that happens, right? So ideally mastery, right, is walking through planet Earth and not letting anything around you what's a good word for it, affect you, or yeah, that's a good a good word to use, right? So sometimes it might feel very dense, like walking through mud, but who doesn't love mud? Mud is awesome, right? So, and it's just really what people call the darkness, right? So humans have kind of, well, we've given a lot of power to the darkness, okay? And darkness is really, it's just the absence of light. So we've made darkness into and its density, right? So my body is dense, your body is dense. It's not darkness, it's not evil, it's just density. So right. So what we've so humans have made darkness into many different things. One of them being evil. And how, so like I said, it's the absence of light. So how do you eradicate evil? Is you bring in the light. So it's actually it's spirituality is so simple, it's not even funny. Actually, it kind of is. So yes, and so I can hear Val Nek saying, "Tell them I said hello." So they are. He says we are here for support to support the Terrans. He says we come in peace. He's making a joke. So so yeah, and so we're never alone, even though every single person on planet Earth feels alone. We are not alone. Oh, this is a great question. So I've opened up some of these lives to YouTube because so many people ask such great questions. And so yeah, and so it can be very fun. So Baja Girl says, yes, spirituality is very simple. Religion makes everything worse. Well, religion only has what religion is trying to understand, trying to find your way home through the mind. Okay. And the mind is like a computer. So it doesn't, it's limited, right? So a computer program has limits. My computer has limits to what it can do. And that's why, so religion by nature is limiting, right? So there's rules, there's regulations, there's indoctrinations. And when you look at it from a higher level, it doesn't quite make much sense to me anyways. And but it's from the mind, right? So when you go so far into the mind to the point where you believe you are the mind, and and you're not really asking the question, why are you doing what you're doing? Okay, because when you create from the mind or you get stuck in the mind, it's creating the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, so And that's really what religion is. So it's the same thing over and over and over again. And it's been around for thousands of years. And I mean, I never found my way back to myself by following rules or indoctrinations that just basically are there because people are true, because people say they're true. So it's about coming out of the mind and into the heart. So, hey, Lauren, how's it going, girl? So anywho, that's why I titled the live "The Way of the Heart," because so for some people, oh, Megan, she keeps talking about love and light, and it's just not real and or boring or whatever. Yes, absolutely. The way that the New Age community or humanity, in a sense, has perceived love and light is boring. So because it's from the mind, so it's actually a way of escaping the darkness. So we're going to push away the negative and then just focus on the positive. Okay, so notice how there's a polarity there. So that's how you know it's from the mind. And then we're just going to focus on everything positive, all of the love and all of the light. And we're just going to ignore everything. And yeah, basically that's the that's the message. And I am love, so I know who I am, and it's something repetitive through the mind. So what I'm actually talking about is transcending judgment, okay? Because who's deciding what is positive, what is negative? The creator does not judge. So I'm actually talking about transcending judgment and actually coming into the heart where you can feel, okay, instead of thinking. Because a lot of people, humanity is taught to think about love, and a computer doesn't feel anything. So, and that's why everyone feels alone, because we're stuck in the head, we're not feeling anything. So but Truck 78 answered a good question, or asked a good question, so let's yeah. I'm just laughing at Val Nek. He says he's ready for the Inquisition. So hi, Megs. I'm wondering when we will all get to experience medbed or medical freedom. And why can't the good alliance just go and eradicate the evil ones hurting us? Oh man, there's layers and layers and layers and layers. Val Nek says, I'll let you go first. So, Val Nek says, I enjoy listening to Megan. She's very smart. She has a different perspective. I encourage her to share. We are here to share with her. He says, you are not alone. So there's two parts to the question. Okay, so medical freedom. So the idea of med beds, right? So it's basically this machine or device where you go in and it kind of gives your body like a tune-up, right? So sort of like an energetic healing, but using a machine, right? So whether it's, and that's a very basic explanation, right? So but we don't need to go too far into it. So in time, those machines will come, right? So they are there for humanity. There are companies that have the capability to develop them, right? Okay, but this really, the Great Awakening is about going within. So the modern medical system, it's basically everything that we've created is created from a lower level of consciousness, okay? And we're evolving into a higher level of consciousness, okay? And the thing is disease, okay, happens because you're choosing, so you're not a victim of the body. So we're choosing to experience it, okay? And different. So your body is there. It's made in the likeness and image of you. Okay, your light. So you're not the body. The light comes into the body. You come into the body, and the body is a house for you. Okay, and you're actually the one running the show, giving it instructions on what to do. Okay, and this is why. So, for example, cancer. So part of the reason why there's cancer, okay, is because we bought into the idea that there's power outside of us. Okay, and when you're whole and complete within yourself, okay, when you've brought all of your light into the body and claimed your body as your own, then there's no room for cancer to grow. So part of it is that we've been, the way that our consciousness is, the belief systems that we bought into, we're actually creating disease for ourselves. To transcend, sure. Do we enjoy having disease on our planet? Some might say yes, some might say no, right? But so it's really about us transcending, well, remembering who we are. Because otherwise, what will happen is we go into the med bed and it gives our body a tune-up, and then we leave the med bed, okay? And then the body will continue to operate the way it's been functioning in our presence because we haven't transcended, we haven't looked within. So it will break down in a sense. It will continue to house a virus or whatever, because we're literally the ones giving it the instruction. So you actually are your own med bed, your higher levels, your presence, and the body responds best to you. And there's no machine that can mimic your energy, your frequency. So you're actually way more powerful than a med bed. So don't get me wrong, they're cool, but there's part of the picture that we've been missing with the med beds. So truly, 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 you can heal yourself. That's why, how did Sananda perform miracles, right? So there are people that can do that energetically if the other being is willing and they open their heart too. So to assist them in bringing their higher levels in, and then they heal themselves. So that's the power that we have. So why would we give our power away to med beds? You see what I'm saying? But they're there to assist humanity. So, why not have them? I'm just saying. There is absolutely no, I don't buy into the idea that another piece, a technology can heal my body better than I can, because my body's there to serve me, and I'm literally the being that gives this body life. So what outside of me would know better, or basically know better. So, and then the second part of the question, Val Nek says, I will answer. He says, I have many friends that work in this field. He says, I can explain. So, he's showing me like a medical facility, and he's showing me the med beds, okay? He says, different for Terrans than for us. Your military has this technology. It's a secret. And he's winking. He's saying the golden age of Terra. He says, it is coming. Be patient. He says, my supervisor has a message. It's hard to explain or put into words what he is trying to say. But basically, Val Nek says, please be patient with Megan. This is difficult for her. He has a very high frequency. He's very intelligent. He's showing me a picture of Yoda. That is the truth. It's hard for my brain is not on the same level, so I have to jump up really high. And then once you jump out of the mind, then the mind, see, the mind is the translator, right? So I'm not my mind. So I raise my energy up to meet his, and then I bypass the mind totally, and then I have no words. So that's why I use Val Nek as the translator, because it's a bit easier. Um, uh, he says the time will come where this will be possible. He says, know your power. He's showing me churches. Okay. Stop. He says the religion of medbeds. He says it is not true. The way he says, I like to make jokes. What he's saying is the way that we've been thinking about medbeds is from a religious perspective. So when the medbeds are here, we'll all be healed or whatever, right? So when Jesus comes back to earth, we'll all be great, you know? So when medbeds come, when the aliens come, everything will be great. And the thing is, it's about bringing our energy here, right now. Okay? Because there is no, see, creation is happening right now. There is no past and there is no future. So when we project our consciousness into the future, what you're actually doing is, well, then things become very muddled, right? And that's why manifestation can be all over the place for humans. So, and then the second part of the question, and why can't the good alliance just go and eradicate the evil ones hurting us? So I love the question because, so the story of good and evil, right? It's a level of understanding that humanity has created and recreated over and over and over again. Okay, so the idea that, and I'm not saying that these perceptions are not real, because this is layers and layers and layers of lifetimes in the subconscious that we've bought into. And then you come into this lifetime, and that's what colors your reality. Okay, so literally, I'm not saying it's not real. It is real until you decide to transcend it, right? So this is what we're all coming in to do. So the story of good and evil, it's basically the cycle, and it keeps karma going as well. So someone perceptively wrongs you or murders you in one lifetime, and then you come back and into a different lifetime trying to transcend it, and then you do the same to them or some sort of harm, whatever. It doesn't have to be murder, right? And so it's the idea, it's based off the idea that someone has power over you, okay? And that someone can harm you, and that someone can hurt you. And how could that be possible if you're the creator of your universe? So everything that you're doing, everything that you're experiencing, and I know the ego hates to hear this. I know. My ego hates to hear it. So, but you are choosing everything you're experiencing. So how can someone be bad? How can someone harm you? Do you understand? So we're evolving out of that victimhood mentality. So, and really when people reference the alliance, it's really, what it means to me is the military, okay? And I don't put my, I don't hang my hat on the military saving me. I'm gonna save myself, you know? So, and it's totally understandable. I mean, for the past 4 years, everything that's happened and everything that's come to light, everyone's been waiting for, well, at least in the truther community, for Trump to get back into office, and then everything's going to be okay, and the evil ones are eradicated and the good ones prevail. And it's a story as old as time. I'm not saying good things aren't happening and that we're not opening doors. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is it's the way that we're perceiving it. It's a story that we're telling ourselves. Okay, because if you know who you are and you know no one can touch you, how could anyone ever be against you? So the animals, I love the animals because they don't buy into the bullshit that humanity has created at all. So Junie, my little June, the love of my life, our little mini horse, eating her hay out there, is not thinking, you know, where, when are the evil ones going to leave Earth so I can start enjoying my hay? That little girl, she doesn't care. She is going to be fat and happy eating her hay for her whole life, and that's because that's what she loves to do. So it's about getting over that, or transcending that perception, and then your light, your energy expands. Because when you are judging another being, it's not that it harms the other being. So when you're pointing the finger and saying that someone is evil, okay, you're not harming them. Even if you put them to death, even if and maybe they did commit a crime, okay, but even if you put them to death, right, it won't harm them. It will only harm you, because you don't have power over anybody else. So you'll actually be making yourself smaller, your world smaller by doing so. So that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents on that. That's really what did Jesus say? An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So and people who we've judged as evil, okay, they are so, well, they've created their own hell. So people who harm children, or even like people who come on a YouTube page or whatever and leave a comment trying to put someone down, what they're doing is they're only really putting themselves down. So they're creating their own hell. So why not? I mean, why continue it on, right? So the only way to evolve out of it is not to punish evil and then put good on a pedestal. It's actually to look within and realize who you are. So anywho, that's what I have to say. Let me get a drink. We can ask Val Nek. Val Nek, do you believe in good and evil? He says, many speak of justice. He says, justice is always served. You serve it to yourself. You create it for yourself. What he means by that is when you go out in the world trying to get justice for something that you were wronged or someone wronged you, right? You can only serve it to yourself. So he says he is thinking of a good word to use. He says, I do not seek revenge, not anymore. He says, my people have had similar views as the Terrans. We are evolving, we are growing, we are watching you. He says, I know who I am. Look within, this is the way. Some people are asking about so Baja Girl says, yeah, some people are asking about fleets of ships in the sky. Okay, hold on. But I want to get to Baja Girl's question. Oh, what's that on your page? Or on your, I can't tell if that's an animal or not. On your thumbnail. Crimes against humanity and scammers, I just call it out. I get what you're saying, Megan. It's just very difficult to get past the knee-jerk reaction. Learning curve. I do not ever seek revenge. Yeah, well, I have been there as well. Okay, so that's how I know. I don't speak from a place of like, oh God, Megan, she's just got in touch with the aliens and now her life was a walk in the park. So what you see, what you see on the internet, it's for a very short period of time. So you're not really seeing the overview of my experience as well. So, but I've been there too. So, and the thing is the hatred, what I've found, okay, is so, how do I put this into words? It's really hard to put into words because, see, what dissolves all of that energy is unconditional love. The hatred, the anger, the crimes against humanity, what you might find when you look within, this is why the Creator does not judge, is it's everyone has done everything to everyone. So that's how you know to make a different decision, okay? Where you have an experience and then you gain the wisdom and understanding to do something differently. So who is really anyone to judge? So have we all been, perfect citizens in every single lifetime? Probably not. Okay, I can actually say no, that would not be the case. So that's why in everything you actually cannot harm another being because they are the light. They're not their body, they're not their minds, they are the light. So that's why where things become a lot lighter and become very fun. So, and then, but yes, I totally understand. And I mean, the scammers. So, again, it is a perception because there are some people that really, well, they really buy into what they're saying. And there might be a little voice inside of them that says, hey, and it's a gentle nudge. So, from your entourage, in your higher levels, it's a very quiet, gentle nudge. So they're guiding you, they're giving you messages, and it's a feeling actually. And but then the ego can be very strong, and this is very feel very powerful. So it's they might feel like a slight nudge to go in a different direction, or maybe this might be more expansive instead of doing this, okay? But there's, yeah, we cannot, I cannot call anyone a liar because they actually believe what they're saying or are trying to convince themselves that it is true. And that's really about them. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It doesn't have anything to do with me, you know? Hello. So some people, Val Nek says he's ready. He is mentioning that it is he wants to say this. He says, Megan and I, we work as a collective. We have many friends. We all work together. He says we work together through the heart, through energy, through who we are. We are always connected. This is our message. So, yeah, so when I'm talking, I'm actually pulling all of their energy and what they have to say as well. So I might not outwardly be like, they say this, but he says, I participate in the lives. People like my voice. And he has a microphone. It is fun. So really, where are higher levels? So not necessarily Val Nek. Val Nek the man, yes, I'm connected to, but really our higher levels are connected because we're not our bodies, right? So so that's really the true, authentic connection to a being. But people love to when I translate his voice as well. So I don't mind doing that. It makes he says aliens are real, and he's winking. He says people feel less alone by my voice. I know this. I encourage Megan to speak. So we can ask Val Nek too this question. Are you or Val aware of any involvement with the Galactic Federation and current circumstances of UAPs seen across USA and Earth? Yeah, and I saw some other comments of like fleets and ships, and hey Maggie, hey Melinda. Oh look, it's Bill Clinton. Hey Bill. That's funny. So, but I've seen people in the chat talk about fleets of ships. So he says, Val Nek says, it is not the Federation. This is not the case. We do not show ourselves. He's using the words. He says, prime directive. These are our laws. We do not show our technology openly. It is illegal. So what's the mystery here? What are the UAPs? He's showing me ships, okay? He says Terran military, classified technology. He says a big secret, and he's winking. He's saying many companies are aware. They manufacture this technology for your military. They have done so for many years. He's showing me Washington, D.C., and he's showing me the Pentagon, places like that. He says they keep a secret. He's thinking, but from my perspective, so I've watched this go on, like, and it's become more prevalent throughout the years. Like, they'll be a UAP, or they've started recently, like, really reporting UFO sightings, and then you'll hear about how it's aliens, but you never, ever, it's like they're saying it's aliens, but it's actually our technology. So it's just, Val Nek says they are playing with your mind. He says you do not need to connect with a ship. It's backwards. Connect through the heart. Yeah, so when you focus on, I mean, it's not about seeing a ship and maybe it's an alien, maybe it's not, and then trying to connect with the beings on the ship. So you have your entourage. If you connect inward, okay, it doesn't matter where they're flying around or what dimension they're in. It's through that energy. Let's see. Crystal says, hi Megan, I will be away that day, but wanted to ask, how can I increase ease of connecting to my friends in other dimensions? I've done it once, but it was hard, and I have not been able to achieve it a second time. I can easily feel energy, but have difficulty visualizing. Well, everybody's brains are different. Everybody's brain works differently. So, and there's all kinds of different bodies with different genetics, okay, with different capabilities, okay. We're not our bodies, okay, so no one's better than another person. I don't mean it that way, but it's just the way that people perceive energy is going to be unique to that person, okay. So, and it sounds cheesy, I say this a lot, but it's really about finding yourself, okay, and the more you are in your own presence and you come out of the ego. So the ego is the conglomerate of belief systems, of judgments. You know, that little voice in cartoons is depicted as the devil on the shoulder, you know, I'm better than you, you're less than me, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so the more you come out of the ego and the ego dissolves and it has less energy, and the more you come into yourself and the more you're in alignment with your higher levels, then your higher levels are the connection to those beings. Whether they're incarnated somewhere in a body in a different dimension, it doesn't matter. So, and that connection can never be broken. So it's really about it just using simple things. So what triggers my ego? What am I experiencing right now that is uncomfortable for my ego? Okay, and then drinking lots of water, that helps shift all of the energy, okay? And I've talked about this before, spending time with animals, spending time in nature, and actually doing a lot of deep breathing, because the breath brings your energy into the body as well. and really disconnecting from the ego and putting the ego outside of you. Okay. And then you can tune in, and maybe your mind perceives images, maybe that it perceives words, but then your mind becomes the translator for your energy instead of the translator for the ego. So a lot of people, because we're all waking up, we're at different levels of consciousness, a lot of the energy is stuck in the mind. Okay. And then the mind scans the ego, and then we're channeling from the ego, if that makes sense. So it's just about undoing your filters, and the less filters you have, the more expanded your energy is. Okay. And then that's your connection to your entourage. It doesn't matter where they exist in the universe, or where their physical body is in the universe. So someone was talking about black magic. Someone says, saw the movie Wicked in theaters, and that was amazing how they talk about humans need to listen to animals and what they communicate with us. Pippi. Maybe I can convince Pippin to come up. Well, let's ask Val Nek, do you believe in black magic? So he says, I find it very strange. I do not believe it. He says, Terrans have created it. They make it real. It exists in your mind, not in reality. So, yeah. So, I mean, I think, I've definitely talked about this before. I don't know about on YouTube, but for sure on Patreon. So, I mean, I just can't help but laugh at black magic and like all that stuff. So, because I'm going to offend people. That's okay. But so Satanists or Luciferians or whoever, there are people who dress up in costumes, right? And then they dance around the full moon, and then they think that the world is going to bend to their will. And I mean, why would that be? Why would that be the case? All of their funny headdresses, and it's literally like Halloween. So we're gonna dress up and ask, this external being, I guess it would be the devil or whoever, and the devil is going to grant our wish, and things are going to go peachy for us. And I mean, I'm sorry, anyone who wants to do that, that's totally fine, but I don't care if you make records, if you infiltrate the music industry. I just don't buy into it at all. And it's real. So if you buy into it, then it is real for you, but it's not real for me. So it's again, it's the idea that something outside of you has power over you. And if you know who you are, then why would you be threatened by magic at all? Then it becomes people just, I don't know what they do, but like putting sticks together and using symbolism to try and get people to, it's totally created from the mind. So it has nothing to do with, the true power of the universe is love. Without limitations, without conditions, is pure unconditional love. And I have that, and you have that. So why would we play all of these mind games and giving all of this stuff power and then trying to get it back? And it's, I think what bothers people too is the sacrificing stuff. So whether it's an animal or a human body, and I'm sorry, why would that give you power? So people are afraid of it because it's, someone can kill someone off or someone can harm you. Okay, but we're not our bodies. So how would killing a body give you power? It's just a bag of flesh. And then you're still you come back into a different body. So it's just, so it's a lower level of consciousness, black magic, okay? And it's just, I don't know, like I kind of find it hilarious, you know? So, uh, so they believe that the power comes from the body, okay? And they don't have an understanding of the light that's within the body. They don't know who they are, okay? If someone's participating in this. And so why would you be intimidated by someone like that, first of all? But second of all, so they believe that the power comes from the body, and then they sacrifice the body because somehow that will give them power that was in the body. And even if that was true, if the power was the body, then why would destroying it give you power? It's complete, it's like a cult. It doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense to the people that buy into it. So, I mean, and I doubt Christ was walking the earth being like, oh, we got to cast out all the demons and get rid of all of the witches and the black magic. It actually, I mean, if you know who the animals, they're not afraid of magic or black magic or whatever, so why should we? Anyways, that's my 2 cents. So so Val Nek, do you in your free time fight witches or fight people who believe in black magic? He says, I never fight, not anymore. He says, I work at a desk, and he's winking, and he's saying, he says it is human religion. Humans have created it. He says the supervisor has a message. So he's showing me ancient Egypt, like the Middle Ages, different periods of time, okay? And he's showing, this is from a really high level, so I might sound weird coming out of my mouth, but he's showing me bodies, okay, in each time period, right? And they are doing things like setting up altars. They're doing things like praying. He says trying to find their way home through the outside, looking outside of themselves. It's a cycle. It's a pattern. He's talking about, he says humans, the Terrans, have done it, he says, thousands of years, millions of years. He says time for a change. I lost my train of thought. What else were you saying? He's showing me the people, okay, through different time periods. And he says, he says, here and now, time for a change. Put the past behind you. This is stuff, what he's trying to explain is this is part of the filters that people come into this reality with. So these are lifetimes where people have bought into the idea that the power is outside of them, which is why when you come into this lifetime and you start to get onto the internet and people start talking about the devil and black magic, you're like, oh my God, it's real, because there's been a time before where you've bought into it. Okay, so there's a root cause of the issue, but it's not actually you. It's just something you've bought into. Okay, and it actually has nothing to do with you. He's saying, he says the supervisor has a message. He says the cycle of karma. He's showing me, okay, again, different time periods. Okay, and he's showing me humans fighting with each other, killing each other. He says nobody is your enemy. Your biggest enemy is yourself. Forgive yourself and move on. He says it's time to transcend it, time to move on. So yeah, so what keeps, again, evil is something that we've created, right? So the idea that the universe is against us, because when you go so far into a limited perspective, you think that all of these bad things are happening to you and you're not actually agreeing to it on a higher level. So it's a different It's a different way of viewing things, and that's what actually, in a sense, makes the evil go away. Okay, so Val Nek says it comes from the mind. So Nothing to Find says Val Nek chose to incarnate into a more civilized realm. We all chose our geography. Maybe, but how do you know that? How do you know it's more civilized? It's actually not. Okay. So they have a way of being, they have their higher levels. It doesn't matter where you are, what the outside looks like, okay? It's actually what matters is the being's perspective. So you could be in, you could be in 3D, you could be in 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, whatever, okay? And have a lower level of consciousness than someone who is in 3D. Okay, so someone who has come back totally into alignment with their higher levels, there might be someone in 5D who still is buying into a limited perspective. Okay, the density, the dimension, it's just a characteristic of the reality that you live in. It doesn't mean that it's better or more evolved, if that makes sense. And it is true, okay, so in his race, or I don't necessarily want to call it a human, it is a human body in a sense. So a human body, okay, so there are customs that they have not bought into, okay, but that doesn't mean that they haven't bought into other things. So let's see. Let me see if there's more questions from Patreon. Hey, Heather. Today I rode Gus. Gus is my friend's old, well, he's not old, but it was my friend's show horse, and he went blind in one eye. And so he came to our farm to kind of semi-retire. And he was going to be my trail horse, but he didn't adapt to being blind so well. So he was like swinging his, I mean, if you were on the wrong side of him, and he would just swing his face like right into you, and like you'd be out. You'd be taken out. But recently he has gotten better. So I've decided to ride him and get him sort of back into some shape. So it was a beautiful day today, and I rode my friend Gus. So, Lisa says, are the moments of being in one's heart karma free? Gradually building to full presence and transcending karma entirely. Is instant awakening really possible? I mean, you can't ever say that nothing's impossible, so I can't say that instant awakening is not possible. It's just that from my perspective, so if you just dropped the ego like that, okay, and then all of your energy just flowed into the body, right? Because that's really what's going on, is we're actually blocking our higher levels from coming into the body because we're giving energy outside of us. So when you drop the ego, then there's nothing, then all the energy comes back into the body. And then then you're enlightened, or whatever the heck. So I can't say that it's not possible. However, the body probably wouldn't be able to handle it. It wouldn't be able to adapt, because the body is a machine, and it's always shifting, okay, to make and recreate itself in the likeness and image of you. So if it just had a huge energy dump, basically, and it might like fry or the body would probably die, from my perspective. And there's so many layers to the ego, okay? And it's really, for so many people, okay, it's about having compassion, because it's so easy to judge someone's behavior or why they would say something on the outside, okay? But there's so many layers to why we are the way we are, why we behave the way we do, okay? And it's so, well, it's very deep. I mean, it's transcending. What you're saying is, we go into lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and find every bit of piece of ourselves instantly. I don't know that it's I don't know that it's, well, what would really be the fun of it? So what would it be? Half the fun, it is, for me, actually, it is fun to find all of those pieces of yourself. So I don't actually really want it to happen instantly, you know? So, and there's so many different levels of understanding. Donnie Danko, was that a cartoon? No, I'm thinking of Johnny Bravo. I thought, but I feel like that's a cartoon character name. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. He says, "Time to grow up. Humans be acting like kids. The games are real only to the children." Yeah, so it is the ego is basically made up too of when you were a child and you bought into something, and your level of consciousness stays in that uh in that um frame of thinking. I'll give a good example. So on Patreon, people heard my horse story, or I went into more detail about my horse story. So you guys know, a few weeks ago I was looking at a horse to buy. So cute, loved her. I mean, truly, like, there's no, I knew I was going to love her anyways, but and she was perfect. Exactly. I'm going to breed a horse, but my friend said, you know, why don't we go look at this horse? She's a sister to my mare, and this is exactly what the product or the breed or what you were trying to breed. So why don't we go check her out? And of course, I'm like, sure, let's go. So we bring our other friend. So our other friend wanted to come with, and I'm like, sure, let's all go. It's a horse trip. I don't know if anyone else is a horse girl in the chat, but anyways, my kind of fun, right? I mean, to me, it's just, there's nothing more exciting. So we go, we go to, and I backed out on the horse. It was not wouldn't have been the best for me. Okay. And I explained that in the last chat, but this is a good example for Donnie's comment. So I love the horse. I'm riding the horse, talking to the trainer, and he is a Western, he's a cowboy, and I have all my English riding stuff on. So he says to me, he goes, "So I assume you're gonna start her under an English saddle." And before I could answer, my friend jumps in and says, "Oh yeah, she's gonna be my trail horse, and you know, so she's just gonna be in an endurance saddle, blah blah blah." And I was like, "What?" Wait, I came to look at the horse. I came to look at the horse for me, and she's talking to the trainer like she's gonna buy the horse. And I was like, what? And then I asked her, you know, what do you think of the horse? And she goes, oh, you know, I need to stop riding my mare so much. So I love her, like, and it's a great deal, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, like, there was no acknowledgement that we went horse shopping for me. So Francis says, bombed your horse trip. Yeah. Uh, so anyways, so I'm like, and I love, like, I'm in love with the horse, right? And she's perfect. So I'm like, what do I do here? So anyways, so I look at, from a higher level, what is really going on. Okay. So what level of consciousness is this person? Instead of getting offended and really getting pissed, it's a grave offense in the horse world to do something like that, but whatever. So look at it from a higher level of consciousness. So what what is this, where's my friend coming from? And this basically is from a child's like perspective. So literally a part of her is stuck in like a 5-year-old mentality. So she sees me playing with the horse. This is as simple as it is. Playing with the horse. I'm having so much fun. She wants to play with the horse too. And she wants it to be, it's a toy to her. So at the age of 5 years old, it's not a living, breathing being. It's a toy, right? That's actually how, this is what I'm saying. There's so many levels or layers to the ego. So I'm playing with a toy. She sees that I'm having so much fun. She wants the toy. Okay. And then she comes over and takes the toy away from me. So I have an option, right? To actually fight with a 5-year-old, or I could move on. So, and I chose to move on. And it's very interesting. So it's about not actually evolving and transcending it and not playing those games with those little children. Okay. Because would you fight with a 5-year-old over a toy? No, you wouldn't. So, and it's very interesting too, because once the child has the toy and nobody else wants it, then they don't want the toy either. So long story short, my friend didn't end up getting the horse either, because I backed out, and then very quickly afterwards, so did she. So that's really what it is. So someone says I'd be seething. Someone says, why didn't Megan fight the 5-year-old for the toy? So that's literally what it is. When people behave that way, or when people, try to take things from you, when they call names. I mean, this is a lot of what humanity does. Call each other names, fights with each other. It's literally children who've been stuck in that state of consciousness. And would you argue with a child? Would you fight with a child? Would you, I mean, most of the time, right? So if you've been around kids, or if you've raised kids or whatever, when you see a child acting out, why are they doing it? It's because they're in pain, and they don't know who they are, and they're very confused. So how can you really judge others? So that's just it takes the energy out of it to look at it that way. Because all of the horse girls that are watching this live would have been like, oh, And my other friend was like, I can't believe she did that, Megan. What are you gonna do? And the thing is, I know very well that what's meant for me will always be for me. So no one can ever take anything away from me if it's meant to be mine. So there's also that wisdom and understanding. So again, like I said on the previous live, it actually would have turned out to be a burden, even though ideally it is what I wanted. The horse herself, she needed a lot of attention, a lot of training, and I just really it's about, for me, actually sharing more, instead of, although I would love to ride horses and train horses all day long. So Tug of Light says, whatever is truly meant for you is never lost. Megan, your higher perspective allows universe to bring it back to you. You're inspiring. Thank you. Someone says, Megan, would be more gentile and respectful to your viewers if you drank out of a cup. If you have to drink out of a bottle, it is impolite to do so. Oh, I did not know. I had no idea there was a correct way to drink out of a glass or out of a cup. You got me there. Donnie says, yelling at kids doesn't help. It just makes you another kid causing a ruckus. Yeah, so if you need to argue, or if you need to respond, right, it's part of your ego, or maybe a childlike aspect of yourself coming up. So yeah, I mean, see, everyone has their perspective. So I don't remember who, Joseph said that that's genuinely, he thinks it's impolite. So, you know, to each their own. I personally, the thought never crossed my mind. I'm sure now, could you imagine how offensive I can be to others? You never know what's going on in others in other people's minds. But Tom says, how's Ruffin? Ruffin, my angel Ruffin. Ruffin is on his journey. Ruffin is always doing very well. So he, I was at the barn yesterday, so I saw him yesterday. And so, but I haven't been riding Ruffin for a long time. So not everyone knows that, but Tom knows that very well. So yeah, so I'm not riding Ruffin anymore. So that's part of why I was looking for another horse. But I have Gus. Gus has one good eye. So, you know, so I have my, so I have Gus. Carrie says, are the earth changes happening? Is that why the aliens are going to intervene or make contact? Someone says, drink out of a riding boot if you're thirsty. I'm not against that either. I'm not against drinking from the hose if I'm thirsty, or yeah. I mean, if you're thirsty, you're thirsty. So, Carrie says, are the earth changes happening? Is that why the aliens are going to intervene or make contact? Wow. What is there to intervene with? Everything's going so well. Val Nek says, we do not intervene. We are Terran's support, and he's underlining it. He says, we are here to assist. You can make your own choices, your own decisions. You have the power. We are not gods. We are not enslavers. We are not your leaders. We are here as your friends, side by side. He's showing me planet Earth, and he's showing me, so what we would call aliens, but really they're just in different bodies. Okay, that's how I like to look at it. And they're all holding hands with people on planet Earth, and they're surrounding the Earth. He says we are one. He says we come together. We are growing. We are evolving. He says Terran support. See, they don't know better than us. So if they intervene, what that energetically is saying is that the Terrans are not intelligent enough, or they do not have the power to make their own choices, and so, or to change their reality. And so we know better, and we're going to do it for them. And that's a mechanism of control that comes from the ego. And that's actually what, you know, some people consider the reptilians bad, or the gray aliens bad, or the cabal is bad. That's what the elitists, or whoever, the old power structure, that's actually what they think of us. That we're too stupid, that we can't change our reality. So they're going to intervene and come save the day. You know, perhaps not. perhaps not. I don't know if we really need all that much help. Do you understand? So they're there to assist. They are, Val Nek says, we work on many projects with the Terrans, with your leaders. We come from the heart. We assist energetically. He says, I repeat again, we are Terran support. So, and then making physical contact. So everyone has alien contact. That's the kind of the joke of it. So there's a perception that only some people are special, and so they've been contacted. And then there's the lay people. I don't feel this way about you guys, but then there's and there's the lay people, and you know, they don't have contact, and so they're trying to live vicariously through the one contactee. And that is also a lower level of consciousness that is also from the ego as well, because The light that is within me is also within you, and therefore you also are connected to source. And the aliens, they have different bodies than us, but the light is also within them, and they are connected to source. So everybody has an entourage. Everybody is connected to aliens, okay? The duck agrees. So it's so the physical connection, because we perceive that we're our bodies, we perceive that the physical connection is all there is, and the actual connection is the connection of the heart feeling. And this is, I mean, this is something we've never done on planet Earth before, is actually feeling ourselves, who we are. That's the benefit of the body, is that you can feel yourself in it, okay? And feeling who we are, and then our connection to every being in the universe. How beautiful is that? And it has nothing to do with, you don't need a body to experience that. So why would we need physical contact? And I bet, sometimes I like to think about this, but so if they came down, so because there's a lower level of consciousness, we perceive them that they know more and that they can save us. And so then we would just be recreating, the old paradigm, the systems of control, okay? And we'd be looking to them as some sort of higher or like enlightened being, and the power is outside of us and we need them. And that has happened with humanity before, okay? When the aliens have shown themselves, and then we kind of created a religion about it. Okay, so that has happened before. So, but we're doing it differently this time around. So it's about the connection of the heart. And I can hear Val Nek cheering. So he says, this is our message, very important. We do not choose one, we choose all. We invite everyone. We are inclusive. Nobody is special, he says, but everyone is. Okay, and so it's really it's a superficial thing. And what I was laughing at is, I bet, so humanity has a lot of judgments about each other, right? So we don't, in a sense, we only like a few humans, we don't really like everyone, and so we would project all those judgments onto them, and if they came physically here, we would either worship them or we would hate them, okay? And we would just project all of our bullshit onto them, and we wouldn't really see them, and we wouldn't really be connecting through the heart. It would be, it would be very very dense, very it would not be in the best and highest good. Okay, so it's how we treat each other is actually how we would treat the aliens, and they know that very well. So while we're down here, and I'm not necessarily talking about us or like the people on my live or anything, I'm just talking about in general, okay? While we're down here calling names, pointing fingers, acting like children, it doesn't necessarily scream like, come down and join our party, right? So they're there, they're always there. You just have to look within, and they want to connect through the heart. The ego is it's actually, when you connect to someone through the ego, you're not connecting to them at all, because the ego is the false self, and the ego is also the false self you've created. Okay, so then you have two people wearing masks and pretending to be something that they're not, and they're connected on this level. And the same goes for the system of, there's one special person that is in contact with aliens, and then the rest of the people are like poor off or something, or they can't connect themselves, or whatever the perception is. What it is it's the false self, okay, also connecting with that person's false self, and it's a connection of the ego. So they're about connection, the connection of the heart. So anywho, he says, we will come in time in many years. The Terrans are growing, so are we. He's showing me the galaxy. He's showing me all different planets. He says we'll come together as one through the heart, then physically. He says the heart first, then physical contact. He's showing me the United States, and he's showing me light glowing, okay, in the United States, different, and he's showing me people shining their light. And he says the more you shine, others will shine as well. It gives people courage. He says, I encourage Megan. She likes to shine. Yes, I do. That would be the case. So for Val Nek and I and the collective that we work with, it's not about the intel or the information. It's just about connecting with people, okay? And yeah, showing them what it is to shine and reminding them that they are never alone. So it's never what you say, it's the energy behind it, okay? And that's really all of this superficial stuff about what things look like, identities, labels, all of that is an illusion. It's all created from the mind. When we judge things and put them into filing cabinets, that's all coming from the brain, okay? And it's about connecting energetically and tuning into the energy behind the presentation or what that person looks like, who you may think they are. It's really about tuning into the authenticity, that true being, not the mask that they're wearing. And what you would find is that there is love. So even if someone has a huge ego, okay, and the ego, they've given the power over to the ego, and it's the ego running the show, kind of like a robot, okay? Behind all of that, there is, like, it could just be a speck of light, okay, or a speck of love that is keeping the body alive, okay? They've really, the authentic self, they've gone into the background and the ego has taken over. So instead of connecting to the ego of that person and getting triggered, connect to that little speck of light. And then what happens is it will grow. So, and that's really, then the world becomes bigger. Your world explodes with love. And it's not about, because then you're not paying attention to the darkness or all of the bullshit, character show that people put on. You're connecting to the authentic part of them. And then that's when you really realize that how beautiful the universe is. And there is no need to fight or to argue or whatever. So Val Nek says, this is the way of the heart. This is our message. He is encouraging me to explain that this is what Val Nek, me and the supervisor and Val Nek have been working on, okay? It's the way of the heart. So it's not like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm enlightened. No. They are there to assist me back to the heart. And then I can assist you guys. And then you guys are assisting me as well. And then you guys also assist other people in their life. So it's a ripple effect. Val Nek says it's a team effort. Nobody is alone. Nobody does it alone. There are no idols. You do not need to worship anybody. He says, he's showing me planet Earth, and he's showing me different people speaking all over planet Earth. He says, what you call light workers. I have heard this term. And he's showing me that person speaking and then a ripple of energy going out, okay? And then other people opening their hearts. He says the way of the heart. He says this is the plan. And there are labels that we've used before, like the Envoy program or the Federation or whatever. Really, what it is this is just how the intention of creator or the intention of creation. So, I had lost my train of thought. I forget what I was going to say. Oh well. Well, I think I'll end with that. And we'll definitely be back with more lives. Val Nek says, our last message. He says, speak up, speak your truth. He says, it is important. He's showing me Donald Trump, and he's showing me doors opening. He says, the door is open. You have to walk through. We cannot do it for you. We are here to assist you. So, yeah, we just got to walk through that door. You know, just can strike. Actually, I don't want to walk through the door. I'm going to take my ponies and I'm going to ride my horse through the door. I'll ride Gus. Gus has one eye, but that's one good eye, but that's okay. And he might not go, he might not go that fast because Gus is a lazy warm blood. But that's okay. That's all right. Thank you guys. Love you guys. We'll be back. Have a great weekend.